I just wanted to talk quickly about a couple of terms that I find very important. They are motivation depletion and willpower fatigue. It can also be called decision fatigue. This is how I like to look at it. Every morning when you wake up, you have a certain amount of energy to devote to being quote unquote good. Okay? So you could look at each activity that you engage in throughout the day and assign it a number. For me, lying on my back on the couch and scrolling on my phone takes almost no motivation. Imagine you walk into the kitchen and there's a bowl of fresh, plump, washed grapes, already destemmed, and you can just plop them into your mouth. It's the easiest thing in the world, cuddling a kitten or a puppy, hugging your loved ones. When it comes to activities like creative pursuits or doing the work that you love, there is a little bit more motivation required, especially to initiate the activity. But I'm sure you'll notice that once you get going, you're sustained. It's kind of like you've already turned the engine of the car and it's just going. Then we have the activities that take more motivation, even basic things like washing your face, brushing your teeth, preparing your breakfast, doing the little things, wiping the counter. Now we're getting into the weeds a little bit with that one. In case you can't tell, I absolutely hate wiping the counter, although for some people it may just be nothing. So we vary between people. But when you get to activities that take a lot of motivation, such as initiating certain tasks that we tend to procrastinate on, avoiding eating and drinking certain foods, doing exercise, getting on the phone and booking certain appointments, things like that, things that involve tedium, toil, and real effort, brain power, we are only allotted so much energy in a single day to devote to getting all of that done. And once we've used it up, it's hard to get more. You can, but that in itself takes motivation that you may no longer have. By the way, when I say motivation, I could also interchange that with energy. So the energy for motivation to do things that aren't as easy as scrolling or eating some delicious snack. Some days you have more than others. One of the biggest things to affect this is your sleep. So if you've had a really good sleep and you went to bed without any tasks on your mind that you needed to perform that you didn't perform the day before, chances are you're giving yourself the very best opportunity to wake up with the biggest pot, so to speak, of motivation energy. But if you didn't have a good night's sleep, if you ate poorly the day before, didn't do any exercise, drank alcohol, got into a fight, put off a ton of stuff, and your to-do list is now a mile long, chances are when you wake up, your amount is not going to be very big. There is an idea that you should do the really hard things first. I understand that logic, and to some degree, I agree with it. But on the other hand, that can make the following day seem unbearably hard until you get into the habit and it becomes very regimented. So, what I would recommend instead are a couple of little life hacks. One is, I think it might be called the 5 second rule. Essentially, you make everything that involves even a slight bit of motivation as easy as possible. An example for me is making sure that I know exactly where my keys are, my glasses, and I've got the coffee ready. Just all I have to do is press a button. And I've just done a sort of sweep of my home the night before and tidied everything up so that I'm getting up, waking up into a house that has order. If you work from home, you could make sure that everything that you need is already on your desk. One of the things that wastes my energy more than almost anything else, especially as a neurodivergent person, is looking for things. I am always trying to prevent that because if I don't, I'm just still not with it together as a person enough to naturally know where everything is. I really have to put that effort in to prevent wasting energy looking for things. It's a real balance for me. And the second one is distraction. So I have another little hack. I won't talk about it, but suffice to say, I'm actively working on reducing distraction. This little hack is ensuring that I have even a very short morning routine on the mornings where I'm busy. It varies for me in my life, where I am doing something that I absolutely enjoy and just have a little bit of time to be in my element. If I don't have that in the morning, my whole day is almost ruined. So ideally, I'd like to stretch that out for as long as possible. Not too long, but maybe 30 minutes. But even something as small as 5 minutes to sit down and just have either warm water or coffee is very important to me, and it really helps. And this brings me to my biggest piece of advice and the best thing that I ever discovered throughout my entire journey as somebody who's trying to be as healthy as possible, who lost a great deal of weight, and recovering from food addiction. That is eating a small, high protein breakfast. Not only does this give me the energy that I need to fuel the early part of my day, it leaves me with plenty of calories for lunch, dinner, and snacks. If I overconsume at breakfast, especially in the carbohydrate department, not only does this not give me extra energy, like I might have believed at some point in the past, it actually slows me down and makes me feel sluggish. It also begins this very light but tangible anxiety inside me that I am going to overconsume that day. If I eat a small high protein breakfast, I'm satisfied. I have the best energy and the best quality energy to fuel my day, and I have lots of calories left over to indulge more in the later part of the day. There was a time when it took willpower to keep this up because I still wanted a big breakfast or to snack in the earlier part of the day. But I made a very wise decision to stick with it and see if it worked out for me. And you know what? It really did. Now it takes almost no motivation for me to stick to my breakfast, and I never deviate. Even on Christmas morning, I spent the night at my parents' house on Christmas Eve, and my mom had said, we're going to have scones and bacon, special occasion breakfast items. And you know what I said? Mommy, I don't want it. On Christmas Day, I don't want to set myself up like that. And it's not about resisting. It was just about me wanting to have a good Christmas day, just like any other day. I didn't want a special coffee. I didn't want bacon. I didn't want anything out of the ordinary. I wanted my usual breakfast, which is 1 egg and 1 slice of healthy, high protein bread. In reflecting what I just talked about in this video, there are just a couple last points that I wanted to make. That is what works for me for breakfast, but the point here is that if you struggle with any kind of food issue, like trying to reduce your calories or feeling that you have a food addiction, you have already run out of energy for motivation as the day wears on. So why not use it a little bit more in the earlier part of the day when your pot is big, then save resistance for the later part of the day when it's more depleted. So that was supposed to be actually my main point of the video. Another point I wanted to make is that this idea of setting yourself up for success the night before is something that my dad instilled in me from a very, very young age. He always talked about this, yet I was never able to pull it off until I had hit the big 4-0 and beyond. So, you know what? Sometimes we hear a message a million times and it just doesn't land, and we have to hear it again. I hope that for somebody who knows this, you understand I ignored this advice for literally decades. And now that I have taken it and implemented it in the way that suits me, I'm a different woman. I lead a different life. So please take heed my message.